What up, guys? It's Wednesday. No, that's not true. It's Thursday, and I'm not gonna do much talking, but I found a very nice video about lying. It's from Leo over at actualize.org. Concerns how much we lie, not only to ourselves but to others, and around the things we don't realize we lie about. It is a super important topic, especially in the relation to integrity. If we lie about the things we tell ourselves and then don't do it, well, then we don't live with full integrity. So in order to present this to you in a digestible way, I'm gonna cut this down a little bit, extract the core message from that 1 hour full-length video. However, I do recommend you to see the full one because it's very, very good. Indeed it is. I'll listen to it like a podcast. You don't have to watch it. All the credentials goes to Leo, of course. He has done it, but he also says that it's okay to repost it. So that's what I'm gonna do. Please enjoy that and get enlightened and get a deeper understanding of this topic. It is so tremendously important. Also, make sure to stop by for the weekly live evaluation tomorrow at around 5 o'clock Swedish time, Stockholm, Sweden. Then I will do a little evaluation of this week's challenge, and following that I will do my weekly review where I sit down on my own, and the idea is that you can join in that session and go through your week as well, but we do it on an individual level. So it's not much talking, just more for the social, doing something together. That's nice, and it actually makes it happen. Just to be able to reground yourself properly once a week. Enough said, have a lovely day. Please enjoy this video. Bye, guys.
You might wonder, well, Leo, why should I care about truth? Maybe I should just serve my self-agenda and that's it. What's wrong with manipulating people, lying to people, and all this? Well, you know, it's not a moral problem. I'm not telling you, like, you're going to be a bad person or going to hell if you lie. That's not why you shouldn't lie. It's an integrity problem. In a nutshell, the problem here is that when you're out of integrity with yourself, when you lie to others and you lie to yourself as well, and you manipulate, and that becomes your default mode of communicating and interacting with other human beings, then that starts to taint your whole life. Like I said, you know, it toxifies your whole life. You're the one who's getting depressed. You're the one who's stressful. You're the one who's in danger of having a heart attack. You're the one who's fat and overweight. You're the one who hates the world. You're the one who's angry and resentful all the time. You're the one who's passive aggressive. So you're paying the cost of that. So I'm not telling you to do this in some altruistic, vein. Like, oh, well, yeah, just be honest so that you're a nice, noble person. No. It's because your dishonesty has gotten so bad that it's backfiring on you. And it's making your life miserable. That's why you want to be integrated, because a disintegrated life is very painful. Hey, this is Leo for actualized.org. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how you are a sneaky, manipulative snake. We're going to talk about how you lie, how you manipulate, your self-agenda, and self-deception. The concepts that we're going to be covering here are going to be very foundational for all of your self-actualization efforts as you go forward. So this is a very, very important episode. And I should start off by giving you a warning that some of the things you're going to learn about yourself right now are going to be quite disturbing. And the more something disturbs you in personal development work, the more benefit you know that it has for you long term. The bottom line, the gist of what I have to tell you is that you are a snake. That's what you are. You're a sneaky, manipulative snake. You're a liar. You lie through your teeth all the time. And what's really bad about this is that you lie to yourself about how much you lie. And this whole thing is so bad that you might think you understand what I'm talking about right now, but you don't even know the tip of the iceberg yet. You haven't seen anything yet. We need to go into some depth here. We need to unravel the various layers of lies, manipulations, and self-deception that are going on in your mind. This is a huge theme of life, all of life, in any area of life where you're trying to get results or success. And when it comes to understanding your mind, is that the name of the game is self-deception. That's what's going on. Self-deception is going on in a multitude of ways. It's ingenious, the degrees to which your mind can deceive itself. And it takes some effort, some real honest looking on your part to start to notice the self-deception. And this self-deception, when it's happening in all its multitude of ways, it really blocks you up and prevents you from getting the kind of results you want in your life, emotionally, in relationships, in business, and everywhere else. There's no area of life that it doesn't affect in a very impactful way. So the bottom line here is that you lie, you manipulate, and you self-deceive. And to help us to understand this, I want to introduce a concept called the self-agenda. What you're doing in your whole life is you're running based on self-agenda. The self-agenda is basically what you want and what promotes your health, well-being, and your survival. Simple enough. Except you don't yet understand and you're not conscious of yet just what self-agenda really means. Because self-agenda is not just literally your survival, and it's not just literally your health. It could also be your unhealth or your lack of survival. That's still part of self-agenda. Fundamentally, what self-agenda is about is it's about preserving your image of yourself. Not just your body, not just literally your health, but more to the point, it's about preserving your self-concept, who you believe you are. Not who you really are, who you believe you are. And most people don't make this distinction between these two things. The thing you think you are, you, I'm pointing at you right now, that entity that you think is sitting there looking at me, listening to me, you think that's the real you. That's not the real you. That's the self-image. That's the self-concept. And it's that thing that's trying to survive. That's what the self-agenda is ultimately about, protecting that. It's not about protecting the body. It's not about protecting you as a human being. It's about protecting you as an ego, as an identity, as this entity that lives in your head. So here's the first profound insight that I want to share with you, and it's this, is that truth, you know how much we like to pay lip service to loving truth and honoring truth and living our life according to truth as though we really value truth? Well, here's the insight. Truth is not your operating principle in life. You don't live your life valuing truth. That's not what runs the show. What do I mean by operating principle? I mean like the central driver of what motivates you in life. Why are you doing the behaviors and actions that you do? Why do you have the thoughts you have? Why do you have the beliefs you have? We like to tell ourselves it's because, well, Leo, they're true, they're accurate. I know they're not all accurate, but I do my best to find the truest ones. And so I'm living according to truth, right? I'm relatively honest and relatively good human being. No, that's a lie. Your chief operating principle is self-survival. And self-survival here means survival of the self-image, not survival as you as a body. In fact, you could shoot yourself in the head because you're so depressed. And that would be an example of self-survival. You would kill the body, but you actually are, in a kind of weird, twisted sense, what you're doing there is you're kind of defending your ideas, defending your self-image. Now, it sounds weird because you're thinking like, well, Leo, if I kill myself, then my ideas of myself are gone. But see, it doesn't feel that way from the inside. When people die for their beliefs, When people do crazy things for their beliefs, when people feel guilty because of their beliefs and their worldview and all this kind of stuff, that's all them defending their ego, defending their worldviews. That's what that is. That's self-agenda. That's self-survival. For you, self-survival, of course, probably means the survival of the body. For most people, it does. Especially what it means for you is comfort and security. These are huge. Your self-concept needs comfort and security. It needs certainty. You love your certainty. You need to be certain about everything. And as soon as you're not certain about something, what happens? Your mind goes crazy. You can't stand it. You need to go find a solution. You need to go find the certainty that you want. All of that, really what that is this is all that you're doing in life. There's nothing really that you're doing in life other than these two things: comfort and certainty. That's all you seek. Think about all the stuff you do in life that you tell yourself, well, I do all this noble stuff. You know, I'm in a relationship, I'm raising my children, and I'm going to church, and I'm going to school, and, you know, I'm going to hang out with my friends, and I go do some charity work, all this stuff that I do. But if you're really self-honest, and you take a look at what is it you're actually doing with all those things, why are you doing them? What you're going to discover is that, oh shit, if I'm not lying to myself, I'm not deceiving myself, I have to admit that I'm doing these things for comfort and for certainty. Not out of love, not out of concern for others, not out of the well-being and preservation of society. I don't try to go out there and, you know, wage a political campaign because I want to improve society. That's not why you do that. The reason you do that is for your own personal self-survival. To serve your self-image, that's why you do it. Which is why people go and, you know, kill themselves, slaughter millions of other people in the name of religion or politics or some ideology or whatever cause they're fighting for. It's this, right? They're trying to defend their own comfort and security, and most importantly, their self-concept. They need to keep that whole and integrated. Because as soon as it starts to fracture, literally your identity starts to melt away. And that frightens the shit out of you. So you scramble, you go into action mode, and you take action to defend this self-image of yours. Low awareness serves your self-agenda. It's not really good for the self-agenda for you to be too aware of your surroundings and what's actually happening in life, which is the whole problem in life. Which is why we have all the problems personally and socially, is because we have low awareness, low consciousness. This isn't an accident. This is by design. This is how the mind is designed. It has to be this way, because if you actually had high awareness, this would require high responsibility. This would also require facing the pain of facing all of the lies that you've been living throughout your whole life. All the crafty little lies you've constructed, all the manipulative ways in which you behave, and I'll give you a whole list of them so you know exactly what I'm talking about in a few minutes. But all of this, see, to start to face these lies, that's real painful. It's real painful because you have a story. Part of your self-image includes the image of you as not being a liar, but being a noble, honest, decent human being. Non-manipulative human being, an altruistic human being who really cares about his children and his wife and his family and whatever you care about. But see, all of those things, really, those are all deceptions. The only thing you care about is your self-image. That's issue number one for you. And as soon as that self-image is ever threatened, oh man, everything else gets thrown under the bus. And how quickly it happens is shocking. But because it does happen so quickly, what happens is the mind can't handle it. The mind has to hide it, sweep it under the rug. So low awareness is your natural state. Raising your awareness, this is painful, challenging, difficult, and produces cognitive dissonance for you. It jostles the various notions you have about how reality works and who you think you are. It challenges your identity. Literally, your old self has to die for you to raise awareness sufficiently high. You can't keep your old self-image, and still have high awareness. It doesn't work. What do you think is the best way to hide a lie? If you really wanted to lie real good, how would you do it? If you were like a system that wanted to be a really good lying, manipulating system, well, what it would do is it would tell itself that it's not lying. And this is exactly how your system functions, how you function as a system. This is called self-deception, when you tell yourself that you don't lie. No, Leo, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a liar. I don't manipulate people. I don't know. Maybe you're talking about my neighbor or my mom or my dad or my ex, but you're not talking about me, right? Oh, this is all about you. It's all about you. Be really careful when your mind starts to point fingers at everybody else except yourself. Point the finger right at yourself here as I'm talking, because all this is applying straight to you. The best way to hide a lie is to have zero awareness. Then you can lie with impunity. You can serve the self-agenda without even knowing that you're serving a self-agenda, which is exactly what you're doing in life. This is your whole life, is the serving of a self-agenda without really knowing that you're serving a self-agenda, unless you've really studied up on this stuff and you've really done a lot of inner work. What I would suggest to you is that the human mind is wired for self-deception. Why is this the case? There might be many reasons. Evolution plays into it, survival of the fittest plays into it, and so forth. Well-being of society, to have a well-functioning society, this might be helpful. But fundamentally, this is most fundamentally, you have to be wired for self-deception because the self is itself a lie. I'm not just saying that some piece of you is a lie. I'm saying that all of you is a lie. Your entire identity, who you believe you are as a biological organism, is just a complete fabrication of your mind. And all the beliefs you have about how life works and what reality is, this is a complete fabrication of your mind. These are just concepts in your mind. Now, they don't feel like concepts. They feel like they're real. They feel very solid. They feel like reality. They don't feel like beliefs. Yes, that's exactly why low consciousness is required. To hold a belief and not recognize it as a belief requires low consciousness. You can't really effectively serve a self-agenda when you recognize that it's bullshit. Evolution and survival of the fittest can't really happen unless there's this core deception going on inside the organism. The organism has to tell itself that it's special. I'm special. My life matters more than every other life. My well-being and my kids' and my family's well-being matters more than my neighbor's kids' well-being. My wife or my husband is more important to me than my neighbor's wife or husband. This is a complete lie. We know it's a lie. There's no reason why your wife is any more important or special or valuable than your neighbor's wife or your children. There's no reason. Only the self-image says so. Only the ego says so from a selfish survival standpoint, right? Because we want to spread our genes, and that makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. But notice that there's something else going on in life besides survival of the fittest and evolution. You might say, well, Leo, that's how it's supposed to be. Wait a minute. There might be something else going on in life besides that. And that would be truth. See, one thing you might have not considered before that I want you to open your mind to is the possibility that your self-agenda in life and truth are two totally different things. It might be the case that honoring and serving truth actually damages one's chances of survival and reproduction. And vice versa, to increase one's chances of survival and reproduction, one might be benefited by lying or living falsehood because it gives you a reproductive or a survival advantage. And this presents an interesting dilemma for us as human beings living our ordinary lives, what do we honor? Do we honor our survival and our reproduction, or do we honor truth? Which one do we honor when the two come and start butting heads with each other? When we have to choose one at the cost of another? It's a good question. Some of us like to be noble. Some of us have the self-image and the self-agenda of being the noble, righteous one. It's like, Leo, I'm a champion of truth, so of course I'm going to select truth. But see, that's actually real hard to do in practice. You have no idea yet, if you are fancying yourself a champion of truth, you have no idea yet how difficult it is to live that. The only way you can live that is by lying to yourself a lot, or by completely obliterating your self-image to the point where you don't even see yourself as a human being anymore. Because as long as you see yourself as a biological entity, this human body standing here right now talking to you, as long as you see yourself as that, you got to defend that. You got to protect that. That's the master that you serve. Truth is not the master you serve. Your ass living and your ass reproducing, that's the master you really serve. And then you have a little thin veneer of telling yourself that you serve truth, but you don't really. Start to become more mindful of how you lie, and especially about how you lie about your self-agenda and your manipulations of people and situations. You lie, in fact, so much, and you've been lying from almost as early as you can remember as a little child. At the age of 3, you already started lying. That it's like a fish growing up in water. The fish doesn't recognize it's in water anymore. And that's kind of where you're stuck. So, to help prop you out of that, I'm going to give you a lot of examples of very subtle and sneaky ways in which you lie. But before I even do that, let me connect all of this kind of lofty, up in the air kind of philosophical discussion down to your practical life. What does this mean for you? Why should you care? Well, here you go. Here's some examples of the problems that are created by lying. These things, make no mistake, the following list I'm going to read off are conditions that are destroying your life, which are created by lying. Stress. The chief cause of all stress is lying. Anger, anxiety, cheating on your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, lying. Abuse, theft, comes from lying. Neediness with other people in relationships, codependency, comes from lying. Depression. Oh man, depression is just a hornet's nest of lies. That's all it is. It's just lies upon lies upon lies. But eating terrible food is often caused by more lying. Panic attacks, feeling like a victim in life, like you have no power, like everyone is against you, like no one is your friend, like society is against you, like the whole world is shit. That's all lies. Drinking and drug addictions are caused by lying. In fact, all addictions are caused by various forms of lying. Suicide, the ultimate lie. Insomnia, inability to sleep, caused by lying. So see, what happens is that you're living your self-agenda, and you might say to yourself, well, you know, what's wrong with self-survival, and what's wrong with defending me and my family and my reproducing my genes and all that? Sounds pretty good. Well, the problem is that it gets so bad that it backfires on itself, and all your lies and your scheming manipulations and all your snake behavior backfires on you in all the ways that I just listed, and many more. This is just a small list. So now what I want to do is I want to share another very profound insight with you, which is that most lying is not obvious lying. Most lying is very, very, very subtle. Very subtle. Remember that to lie effectively, you got to be subtle about it. You got to lie to yourself about it. In fact, ideally, you don't even know that you're doing it, which is exactly what low consciousness is. You set the bar very low so that anything below the bar, you're not conscious of. Most lying is totally unconscious. You don't know how you're doing it. I'm not just talking about verbal, straightforward, like a verbal lie. Like someone comes to you and asks you something like, did you have breakfast today? And you lie to them and you say, no, I didn't have breakfast today. That would be a very obvious black and white type of lie. You know you lied in that case. You can't deny that. Those are not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is all the sneaky shit you do, all the manipulative stuff you do. And to help to get you to see that, I want to give you a list of just a random assortment of examples. This is a tiny list, but it'll start to get your mind to register what I'm actually saying here. Saying that you're honest. Thinking of yourself as being an honest person, that's a lie. A fake smile. When you're meeting someone, you're greeting your friends, you don't feel like smiling, but you smile anyways, that's a lie. Notice that a lie doesn't have to be verbal. A lie also doesn't have to involve other people. It could just be you by yourself. Another lie is fake politeness. Another lie is eagerness to please. You really want to please somebody, but the only reason you're doing that is so they think well of you. That's a lie. Acting cool or stoic. Someone gives you some bad news, then you just kind of like pretend like it didn't really affect you that much, even though it kind of did on the inside. It jostled you a little bit, but you just kind of play macho. That's a lie. Asking for things indirectly. This is a huge one. This is a whole category of stuff. Notice how you do this. When you want something, but you don't have the balls to just go ask for it, and instead you come up with some kind of excuse, like you bump into the person, or, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, I didn't know I was going to meet you here. Or it's like, oh, by the way, we were just talking, but by the way, could I ask you for this? Or, oh, let me just nudge that person, maybe help remind him of what I need from him. Or the way that you indirectly ask for sex in a relationship. You don't just come up and ask for sex. It's like, hey, honey, I just want more sex. No, there's a whole routine. There's a whole manipulative gauntlet that you run through when you're asking for sex. It might be a little look that you give him, a little pout, a little tease, this or that. So all those kind of ways of asking for something indirectly. Be very mindful of how you do those. Those are very unconscious. Labeling things and people as evil. Being evil. That person is evil. That person is the devil. Anger. Most forms of anger are lying. Because actually what anger turns out to be is to be you being hurt. But you're not acknowledging that hurt. So you lash out in anger instead. And you project onto other people. Playing stupid. Have you ever done that? You play stupid, or you pretend like you didn't hear something that you actually heard, or you pretend like you didn't see something you actually saw. How about withholding important information? You rearranged and manipulated the information to withhold the most important stuff. You concocted and constructed and presented the information in such a way that it doesn't really present the true picture of what that person was asking for or asking about. You just kind of reported the raw facts, but you did it in a way where the raw facts distort the original meaning. Pretending that you're loving, pretending that you're compassionate, pretending that you're selfless, and pretending that you're spiritual. This is a huge category of lies right here. Man, most spiritual people are not spiritual. Most loving people are the most selfish people. People that call themselves compassionate and loving and altruistic. These are some of the most selfish fucks in existence. And the spiritual people, the religious people, these are some of the most hypocritical, lying sons of bitches that exist. These are some of the biggest, fattest snakes in the jungle. Pretending like, oh, I'm spiritual, nothing concerns me, I don't care about money, I just love everybody, I'm a new age hippie. This whole kind of act that people play. Moralizing. When people preach to you and tell you, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, those are some of the biggest liars out there. And when you do that yourself, and you do it, you might not be a preacher, but you still do it. When you moralize to your kids or your children or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whoever you do it to, or even just inside, internally to yourself, when you tell yourself, well, I should do this, and I have to do that, and this must be done this way, and there's a whole procedure this, and don't do it the wrong way. That's all moralizing, shoulds. Those are all lies. Dissembling your true motives. When you actually want something and you're doing something, and then people are kind of curious about, why are you doing that? But then you don't tell them your real motives. You give them some fake excuse. Or you take one of your secondary or tertiary motives and you throw that one out there instead of giving them your true ultimate motive. Notice how much you do that with people, and especially in your intimate relationship. Speaking of which, lying inside of intimate relationships, this is one of the perhaps biggest categories of all. The degrees of subtlety that you utilize to manipulate your partner or your spouse are incredible. They're mind-boggling. It's really a work of beauty that you do so much of it, and you're so completely unaware of all of it that you do. Every little tiny manipulative behavior, every word you say, you know exactly what to say to push your partner's buttons, to get them to do exactly what you want. So you don't get into an argument, or so you can avoid spending a day with her at the mall, or she can avoid watching you watch football on the couch, or whatever you guys are trying to avoid with each other. All the compromises that you have struck, convenient compromises. How about lying about sex? Our whole culture lies about sex. I don't have that much sex. I don't have unprotected sex. I don't have sex with strangers. I only have sex with people that I love. Yeah, right. How about lying when you're in a leadership position? Are you a boss? Are you a manager? Are you a CEO? Are you someone that has people following them? Well, then you lie all the time. You like to withhold information. How much secretive shit do you withhold? Someone needs to get fired, or someone needs to get hired, or you have some piece of information about some new project. All that shit gets withheld. You don't tell that to all your people. You only tell them on a need-to-know basis. Only at the last minute, when it doesn't burn your ass. That's when you tell them, right? Perfect example of what we mean by self-agenda and not serving truth. Here's some more examples for you. Not admitting when you're wrong. You know you've made a mistake, but then you don't actually admit it. Even though you kind of know you should, but it's like, well, I'll come up with some excuse for why I wasn't that wrong. Leo, I wasn't that wrong. I mean, I was basically right. I mean, I was right on the facts. Yeah, a little bit of it was, it's okay. It's okay. I don't need to admit that I was wrong. They already know it anyways. They already know it. Why should I say it? They already know it. How about hiding your weaknesses and insecurities? You're a guy, you go out with a girl on a date. You're acting all macho and confident. Everything's fine. You've got money, you've got a nice car, your life is going great, you're so cool. That's how you act. All lies, but hey, you want to sleep with her. And likewise, you're the girl. Well, I'm not going to tell him about my divorce and my abusive boyfriend and how I was having sex with that guy over there and this over here. And it's like, I'm not going to tell him any of that. I'm going to be the nice, cute little girl. And how about acting perfect when you actually aren't? Pretending like you're perfect. How about withholding emotions? It's a huge category of lies right here when you withhold emotions. You feel stuff, you feel angry, you feel sad, you feel hurt, you feel depressed, you feel fearful, whatever you feel, but who do you tell? You don't tell anybody about this. You don't share this with people. Even if they ask you, you tell them, oh, I'm doing nice. How are you doing today? I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm doing good. How about when you soften your opinions and judgments? Someone asks you, like at work, or your boss asks you, hey, what do you think of this political candidate? Or what do you think about religion here? Or what do you think about this? Someone asks you at the dinner table, maybe you're in some kind of formal setting, and it's like, well, I can't really tell them what I think. I'll give them a little soft, little weak version of what I really think. It's like, oh, well, that candidate, I don't think that candidate is really quite ready yet to take office. That's not what you really think. You think that guy's a fucking asshole. It's like, yeah, oh, I can kind of see how those shoes fit for you. Yeah, I can kind of see it, you know. I wouldn't have selected those, but I can kind of see how they fit for you. When deep down you're like, those are the ugliest fucking shoes I've ever seen. It's like, oh yeah, honey, I kind of like, you know, I'm fine with your dog. I'm fine with your dog. You know, I don't love your dog. I'm fine with your dog. But in reality, it's like that fucking dog just pisses me off. Right? Notice how you do that. There's a whole game that you play inside your mind. A whole set of mental gymnastics that you have to run through to make that work. How about when you're snarky or sarcastic and you use that to manipulate people? That's all lies. How about when you use humor? Especially if you've got a charming personality, you're good with people, you're a socializer type. Man, you use humor to put people in their place. You use humor to belittle people, to humiliate people, to wage power wars with people. You use humor to dissemble your true motives. You use humor to disarm tense situations, to mislead people, to divert their attention from the real issues that they're interested in. Yeah, you're real fucking sneaky with your humor. How about when you secretly scheme to get your share of the pie first? This is a good one. And you know you've done this, like when you know that the company is going to have some layoffs coming. You guys didn't have a good quarter this year. You know some people are going to get fired. So what do? Already you're sitting there and you're scheming. Your mind is already off to the races for how you're going to make sure that you don't get fired. 5 people get fired. Well, you're going to do everything you can to make sure those 5 people are not including you. You know, and if it's John from accounting, well, fuck him. I got to pay for my family. My family's got to survive in this bad economy. And you start scheming, you start coming up with plans, with ideas. A lot of them are usually nasty and petty. How about being nice in order to get validation from people? All you people pleasers out there do it all the time. Just so that we like you, so that we approve of you, so that we love you. You'll say fucking anything. You sell yourself out for validation. How about pretending that you weren't hurt? Either emotionally hurt or even physically hurt. Have you ever been like walking through your house and then maybe your girlfriend is there looking at you or something and you're just kind of walking and then you stub your toe on the coffee table or some shoe that's laying there on the floor, and that really fucking hurt. But it's like you want to play it up a little macho, right? You want to pretend like you didn't really feel it that much. It's like, oh, don't worry, honey, it was nothing. It was nothing, just a scratch. Just a scratch. But inside you're bracing with your full intensity of your body. All your muscles are tensed, trying to just like hold in that pain rather than just actually expressing the hurt that you felt. Why are you living that lie? You see how this is a matter of your self-image at play? It all goes back to self-image. Your self-image needs to survive, even more than your physical body. How about the white lies that you tell children and kids? You have kids? How many white lies do you tell them? You don't tell them what's really going on. You lie to them all the time. You tell them so much bullshit, filling their minds with all your bullshit, so then they become liars because you're teaching them by example. They listen to all your bullshit, then they'll bullshit their kids, and their kids will bullshit their kids. How do you think this whole cycle gets started? Starts from year 1. How about when you say, I love you, when you don't really feel it and you don't really mean it? Just because someone else told you that they love you, but you don't have the balls to tell them you don't love them. So you just kind of, oh yeah, I love you too, honey. How about when you get a new car or some new clothes or something and you want your friends to notice, but you don't want to tell them that, hey, guys, look at me, no, you don't want to do that. That goes against your self-image of being a humble person. So instead what you do is you find some indirect way, you try to nudge them a little bit, or you try to like pull up, hey, guys, you know what? Let's go to the beach next weekend and, oh, we'll use my car. Yeah, we'll use my new car. We'll just use my new car. How about when you excuse your own hypocrisy? The biggest hypocrites are the ones that don't admit that they're hypocrites. And usually, you're completely blind to your own hypocrisy. The shit you do is so hypocritical. The shit you do versus the shit you say, there's like an Atlantic Ocean of difference between the two. But in your mind, it's all just kind of masked over and glossed over and fudged over, so that in your mind, you don't seem like a hypocrite at all. But if you look at it a little closer, then you do tons of hypocritical shit. So I could just keep going on and on for hours about this list. You know, I hope that you start to see the subtlety that's going on here, right? I went to all this length so that you see the subtlety. It's very, very fucking subtle. Very subtle. Not only is it subtle, but then you lie to yourself on top of that. Plus, your awareness level, your mindfulness level is so freaking low that it just doesn't even register on your radar screen. What do I do about this? You want me to become a saint? Is that what I should do, Leo? Just be a perfect saint, not lie to anyone? No. Hold up with your black and white thinking. There's nuance here in this discussion. I want you to become very mindful of how you do this, how you lie, how you manipulate, how you self-deceive. Here's another profound insight for you, is that truth alone is curative and healing. The truth alone heals you. Just noticing what's true and what's false already starts to heal you. You don't even need to get other people involved yet. In fact, I want to propose the following solution, which is that you should start telling the truth more, especially when there's a cost to your self-agenda involved with telling the truth. Not just telling the truth when it's easy, telling the truth when it's hard. And there's 3 levels of telling the truth that I want to introduce to you. Level 1, and they get harder and harder as you go up the levels. So level 1 is the easiest, although it's still going to be very difficult for you. Simply tell the truth to yourself. At the bare minimum, you have to be honest with yourself about your beliefs, your ideas, and your behaviors and your manipulations. So you know what? If you're going to manipulate your boss or you're going to manipulate your wife, fine. But at least tell yourself, okay, I'm manipulating my boss. Okay, I'm manipulating my wife. At least start there. And as you're doing the manipulation, at least be mindful of it throughout the duration. As you're doing it, it might take you a couple days to execute your manipulation. Okay, fine. But just stay mindful throughout that process. Notice what you're doing and why you're doing it. What's really going on? Why are you manipulating her or him? To serve your self-agenda. And notice what the cost is. The cost is truth. You don't give a fuck about truth. You don't give a fuck about honesty. You care about your self-agenda. That's what you care about. You care about your self-image. You care about preserving your identity at all costs. That's the only thing you care about in life. Pretty much the only thing. You're almost incapable of caring about anything else. Not unless you've done a lot of work on yourself. This kind of work that we're doing here. Hundreds and thousands of hours of it is what I'm talking about. So that's level number 1. Just start to notice for yourself. And that already is a huge advance forward. But there's also level number 2. Level number 2 is starting to communicate the facts of situations more accurately and honestly. So what are the facts? You know, if your boss comes to you and asks you, hey, are we going to meet next quarter's projections? Instead of softening the blow and not telling him everything, you give him a couple of facts. No, give him all the facts. Give him all the facts, even if he's going to fire you. Give him all the facts. And same thing with relationships. If you've been cheating on your boyfriend or spouse or husband, tell them that. That's a fact. Tell them the facts of what happened. How many times did you cheat? Don't just tell them I cheated. Tell them I cheated 5 times. Give the facts. Report the facts as they were or as they are for you. That can be quite challenging. If you're writing a sales copy, if you're a salesperson or a marketer, start writing sales copy that's actually factually true rather than trying to manipulate and withhold certain information. Disclose all the facts. And start to notice the huge difference between writing a communication designed to promote your self-agenda, which is the sale of products and earning you of money, versus writing a sales copy that actually reports the facts as they are, that actually tries to communicate truth. That has a totally different energy and vibration to it when you're actually trying to report the truth. Same thing in your work. You know, if you're an artist, if you're a writer, whatever kind of work you do, you can do your work in a way where you're serving truth versus your self-agenda. Start practicing that. And then level 3 of communicating truth is actually communicating how you feel. Not only do you report the facts, but also how you feel about the facts. So for example, your boss comes to you and asks you about the quarterly reports. Not only do you give him the facts, and the facts might look bad, you give him the facts, but let's say you're also afraid and you're fearful. And maybe you're also angry at someone in the company. But see, all these emotions, you bottle up all these emotions. So this 3rd level is about communicating your actual emotions. So you actually tell him, hey, I'm afraid. I'm afraid you're going to fire me. I'm afraid that, or I'm angry at that person in accounting who didn't do the right job to get the right numbers in or whatever. Communicate your emotions. Or, and this is the hardest thing you'll ever do. If, for example, you cheated on your spouse, not only do you communicate that you cheated on your spouse, but now you communicate your emotions about it as well. So it's like, I had sex with Sally. Not only did I have sex with her, but I loved it. We had multiple orgasms together. We hung out. We had fun. We went shopping later. We had the best time of our lives. Because that's honestly how you felt. You might say, I'm in love with her. This is something you would never, ever, ever think of doing. Even in the most radical examples, what you would usually do is you'd say, well, yeah, honey, I cheated. I'm real sorry. But see, that too is a lie. Because that's not how you really feel. How you really feel is like, yeah, I cheated because you were a bitch and you were nagging me all the time and I really love this girl. But see, you don't tell her that. Because that's fucking going to destroy your ego when you try to do that. This is not easy stuff to do. And even as I'm talking, you should already be shaking in your boots, quivering with fear and dread about doing some of these actions. This shit is just like, it's like acid. It's like pouring acid on your self-image. It just completely obliterates it. Also, though, it's extremely healthy. And it helps you to reduce all that shit in your life. Depression, loneliness, sadness, hating life, anxiety, stress, all that shit. Where do you think all that shit comes from? That comes from you lying and sweeping under the rug all the dirt for years and years and years until it festers, and then it destroys your life. Yeah, there's a cost. There's a consequence to being truthful. Serving the truth is not easy. It's very emotionally challenging, which is why nobody does it, because no one cares enough about truth. You might wonder, well, Leo, why should I care about truth? Maybe I should just serve my self-agenda and that's it. What's wrong with manipulating people, lying to people, and all this? Well, you know, it's not a moral problem. I'm not telling you, like, you're going to be a bad person, you're going to hell if you lie. That's not why you shouldn't lie. It's an integrity problem. In a nutshell, the problem here is that when you're out of integrity with yourself, when you lie to others and you lie to yourself as well, and you manipulate, and that becomes your default mode of communicating and interacting with other human beings, then that starts to taint your whole life. Like I said, you know, it toxifies your whole life. You're the one who's getting depressed. You're the one who's stressful. You're the one who's in danger of having a heart attack. You're the one who's fat and overweight. You're the one who hates the world. You're the one who's angry and resentful all the time. You're the one who's passive aggressive. So you're paying the cost of that. So I'm not telling you to do this in some altruistic, vein. Like, oh, well, yeah, just be honestly that you're a nice, noble person. No. It's because your dishonesty has gotten so bad that it's backfiring on you. And it's making your life miserable. That's why you want to be integrated, because a disintegrated life is very painful. I will give you a warning, though, is that if you do start doing level 2 and level 3 of honest communication, and you start telling the facts, and you do start, spilling your emotions, then you have to have courage and you have to accept the consequences that might come from that. And there might be some serious consequences. Maybe you'll get fired. Maybe your wife will leave you. Maybe your children will hate you. Now, in most situations, what the mind does is it completely over-exaggerates these consequences. Usually you won't get fired. Usually your wife won't leave you, and usually your kids won't hate you. In fact, if you're truly honest and you kind of wear your emotions and your heart on your sleeve, that's very refreshing for most people. Most people appreciate that kind of honesty, even if you did something really bad. You usually won't get fired for it if you actually go and honestly report the facts and report how you feel about it. Usually you won't get fired. So play around with that. Test that out. Let me give you some concrete exercises here. These are your action steps. One is I want you to start noticing your self-agenda in action. Notice the difference between self-agenda and truth. Which one are you honoring when you're doing the stuff you do? Also, I want you to start noticing how much you lie. Be mindful of your lies as you're lying, especially the very subtle ones that I talked about. Also start to notice how you subtly manipulate people. You manipulate people everywhere. And usually the closer they are to you, the more you manipulate them. The people you manipulate the most are your spouse, your children, your parents, and your family members. You manipulate them the most. So just watch out for that. And here's a trick that I want you to use to remember, because you're going to fall back asleep. You're going to fall back asleep real fast. Because none of this that I talked about is serving your self-image at all here. This is very dangerous, very threatening. So here's how you keep yourself from falling asleep. You get a rubber band, something colorful like this, put it around your wrist. Make sure it's not too tight so you can wear it for a long time without it cutting off circulation to your hand. And you wear this for a whole week. I want you to put one of these on, wear them for a whole week throughout your day. Sleep with it, shower with it, brush your teeth with it, and go to work with it. Have sex with it on. And every time your eye catches sight of that color, of this rubber band, then I want you to just remind yourself, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be on the lookout for my own manipulations and lies and self-agenda. And this will help you to stay on track and not fall asleep.